I'm going to ask some questions. The Ayer cut. The Ayer cut. Now, as I mentioned before, DC has had a very rough history, mainly because of the Snyderverse. Ever since Zack Snyder went through all his drama, personal and professional, some were not his fault at all. A lot of it was on the studio, so I want to make sure that's clear. Ever since he went through this, there have been so many issues that have been like a ripple effect afterwards. I think the biggest problem that has happened with the Snyderverse was the fact that the movies that should have been great were not great, and the movies that had little to no expectations made a lot of money. You know, Aquaman made $1 billion. Wonder Woman made like $800 million. And you had these side characters making all this money, but you didn't have like the Batmans and the Supermans doing what they needed to do. So, of course, as we know, with all the studio interference and all that, we had some janky BVS put in theaters. They had to go do an extended super ultimate edition cut later. Okay, fine. But then they released the Justice League version. That was trash. And then, of course, they had to release the Snyder cut after so many years. Now, what's interesting about this is the Suicide Squad by David Ayer, that came out, and it was not all that great. A lot of people didn't really care for it. It made a lot of money, but it didn't do very well, and it was not well received. Now, it's funny to me because I try to tell y'all this all the time. Hold on, let me actually pull this up. Because recently, David Ayer, for like the last 2-3 years, ever since Zack Snyder got his version released on streaming, and probably a little before that, David Ayer has been up and down talking about, oh, well, that wasn't my movie. Oh, well, my version had the Joker doing this. And he would try and drop little things. He basically tried to use Zack Snyder's playbook, tried to piggyback off of the release the Snyder cut movement and try to transform that to the whole release the Ayer cut thing. Now, at first, a lot of people laughed at this. Like, bro, are you serious? Like, ain't nobody checking for Suicide Squad. But, little by little, he kept hearing it and kept going with it, did not let this go. Now, what was funny to me was that I recall, now I couldn't pull it up because I couldn't find it, but I recall that when Suicide Squad dropped, a lot of people asked, hey, we saw BVS Ultimate Edition and all that. Is there going to be a director's cut of Suicide Squad? And I remember David Ayer was like, nah, ain't no other cut. This is my movie. It's mine. He was real adamant about that. And I remember this, at least this was 2017. This was back in 2017. My man made a whole post on Twitter. Okay. And what did he say here on the last line? And no, there isn't a secret edit of the film with a bunch of Joker scenes hidden in a salt mine somewhere. But the Ayer cut. Cap. So he clearly pulled a whole 180. Talking about, nah, there was no other edition. There was no other cut. But then years later, he started saying, hey, I have a cut. And what the studio released was not mine. They butchered it. I'm the victim. My true artistic vision has not been fulfilled. Whatever. This is a prime reason why I've always told y'all, don't be listening to these actors and directors and anybody that's under contract. Don't listen to none of them. Wait for them to get out that contract. Wait a couple years. And then that's when you're going to get the truth, whatever it is. Maybe they like something, maybe they didn't, but you're going to get the truth after the fact. not during. Okay, don't forget about that. So with this, the question was like, yo, what are we gonna do with this supposed Ayer cut? Now, according to David Ayer, he said there's legitimate hope. And he talked to James Gunn. And James Gunn told him that the Suicide Squad would have its time. Whoa. So here's what he said. There's a genuine curiosity and interest from a lot of people. And I'm aware that there is another group of people that have fun mocking the film. Your comment is a perfect example of how many are magnetically drawn to the 2016 film in a negative way. Have you ever had an experience in life that didn't turn out until I guess the way you wanted, that dragged you, that made you rethink everything? I have. He goes on to say, all I know is my unseen film plays much better than the studio release. The interest in my cut being shown, hold on. The interest in my cut being shown seems real and organic. And Gunn told me it would have its time to be shared. He absolutely deserves to launch his DC universe without more drama about old projects. In a way, I'm chained to this thing. I'm riding a tiger here and navigating the situation the best I can. Life is a very strange journey. You had a conversation with Gunn too? He told you it was going to show up? Have you talked to Gal Gadot at all? I'm just wondering if y'all talk at all, cuz it seemed like Gunn out here making a whole lot of promises to people. Seems like it. Now, maybe Gunn is going to come through. I don't know. Maybe. But here's my issue. And I'm glad that he acknowledged it. Why? What's the point? DC has had over a decade of straight misses and terrible PR in the optics of the public relations. Like the brand has been tarnished over the years. The minority of people that are diehard DC fans, as much as y'all love all the stuff that might have come out, I'm sorry, but y'all don't have enough people, and we don't believe you. And that's the issue at hand. That's just a straight up optics number. Now, here's the thing, because I don't want to make it seem as though Suicide Squad was some chump. Okay, but there's more to it than just money. Suicide Squad made $745 million. That is a lot of money. This movie made 4.3 times its production budget. Guys, I can't tell you enough. That is a success financially. And when something is a financial success, that's usually, what are they going to do? The money talk. The money talks. But there was another problem with Suicide Squad. And it was the biggest problem. Yes, you brought a lot of people in, and I believe the movie made so much money because not only were we thirsty for anything from DC to just be good, but you had Joker with, Jared Leto. Everybody loves Joker. You had potentially Batman in there. You had a big name with Will Smith in that movie, who was actually pretty good as Deadshot. You had Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn, who we really like as well. You had a lot of pieces to really put people in the theaters to make that money. But ultimately, what have I told y'all? The number one thing that's going to matter is whether you actually make a good movie or not. And guess what? Both critics and fans agreed that this movie was trash. This 394 reviews That's usually the amount of critics that actually review stuff. When you see critics in the 300 numbers, that's usually most critics have seen this movie. What surprised me here was hundreds of thousands. Now, it'd be different if this was like 5,000 viewers or whatever. That's not hundreds of thousands of people watched this movie, took the time to come out and talk about it, and said that this movie was not good. I'm sure David Ayer's movie and his version is better. But the problem is the fact that I don't know who really cares. He was sitting here saying that, like, hey, there seems to be real organic interest. Sir, I cannot begin to tell you, Twitter is not a real place. I know that you will see release the Ayer cut trend once in a blue moon here or there. Twitter's not real. The people on Twitter, a lot of times they're not real. That is not going to be a real big indication of what people actually want or need. You know how we know this? Because the same folks that are gassing you up for this Ayer cut were the same folks that were gassing people up for releasing the Snyder cut and having the Snyder universe continue, and they didn't show up for Black Adam. They didn't show up for Shazam. Gal Gadot showed up, Henry Cavill showed up, and these same folks that seem to have organic interest, they did not show up. So it's very misleading, in my opinion, to believe that there's genuine interest in this movie that was not well received in the first place. What are we supposed to get from this? People don't even like Jared Leto like that as the Joker. And you want to give us more? I believe that his version probably is better. But one thing I'm like a little tired of is, how many times do we have to see a fuller version of a movie because y'all couldn't get it right the first time? First, it was with Batman v Superman. All right, we need an ultimate extra edition and 2 extra hours to make it make sense. Got it. Then it was Justice League. Okay, studio interference. All right, we understand. Then we needed a 4-hour cut to fix that, if you call it fixed. And now we need another fix for the Ayer cut? Why? For what? And what's the game? You gonna make money off of this? I'm not going to the theaters for this. I can tell you that right now. I don't care if y'all added 34 minutes of more footage. I'm not going to the theater to go watch the redo of the Suicide Squad. For what? And here's the other thing. As you mentioned, they're starting in a new direction. Why would I want to go watch a dead-end movie? It's dead. It's done. It's over. So you don't have a lot of interest, and whatever interest is on Twitter is probably fake. I don't see the financial reason of bringing it back. Is this gonna, if you drop it on HBO Max, are people gonna rush to the platform and sign up? I never heard nobody in just casual conversation sit here and be like, man, I wish I could see more Suicide Squad. So I don't know. I don't see this being a viable thing at all. And on top of that, I don't know what James Gunn is even thinking talking folks about this stuff. Like, for what? What do you want to talk to them and give them hope for? Are you about to give them some Ultimate Edition streaming thing and maybe release it on the platform? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But y'all let me know. do y'all think it's worth releasing the Ayer cut? Is this something that you are interested in? Is this something that you would you pay money to watch the Ayer cut? Whatever it is, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.